Imagine getting a call on a random Tuesday, only to find out the people who gave you life are secretly trying to steal your life savings. Yeah, let that sink in. Most of us grow up believing our parents are our ultimate protectors, but what happens when the monsters aren't hiding under your bed, but sitting at your Thanksgiving table? Welcome back to Revenge Theory, where we break down real stories of betrayal and how the best revenge isn't about destroying someone else, it's about building an absolute fortress around yourself. My name is Tessa. I'm a 32-year-old architect, and for the last 5 years, I've poured every ounce of my blood, sweat, and late-night overtime into buying my dream property, a secluded lake house. It wasn't a mansion, but it was mine. It was the one place in the world my parents couldn't touch, critique, or ruin. If you have toxic family members, you know exactly what I mean. You need that one safe space. It was a Tuesday morning. I was standing under those soul-sucking fluorescent office lights, pretending to care about a blueprint revision, when my phone vibrated. Unknown number. Caller ID said First Coastal Bank. I stepped into the hallway. "This is Tessa," I answered. A man's voice, calm and measured, replied, "Ms. Hale, this is Marcus Vance, branch manager at First Coastal. I'm calling about the recent activity on your lake house." My stomach dropped into my shoes. "What activity?" I asked. There was a heavy pause. "Your property was refinanced yesterday, a $315,000 cash-out transaction." The air left my lungs. My fingers went ice cold. "That's literally impossible," I stammered. "I didn't sign anything. I haven't even been to a bank." "It's processed in our system, Ms. Hale. New loan number, new payment schedule. The closing package was uploaded last night." Marcus's voice dropped, becoming deadly serious. "That's why I'm calling you directly, instead of sending an automated letter. The refinance was completed without your physical presence, by 2 individuals who presented themselves as your authorized representatives." "Who?" I asked, though my gut already knew the terrifying answer. "They provided identification and a signed power of attorney packet. They were listed as your parents, Donald and Sheila Hale." I didn't scream, I didn't cry. Growing up with my parents trains you to suppress your panic. I just asked, "Where is the closing package right now?" Marcus said, "It's in my branch. There are some irregularities. If you can get here today, I need to show you this in person." I didn't tell my boss a story. I grabbed my keys, walked out of the firm, and drove to the bank like a woman possessed. My brain was building a timeline. The last time my parents were at my lake house was late summer. They'd shown up uninvited, doing their usual routine. My mom inspecting the baseboards like a landlord. My dad making passive-aggressive comments about how property like this should really stay in a family trust. I remember laughing and saying, "It is in the family, it's mine." My mother had just smiled that chilling smile of hers. "We'll see," she had muttered. I thought it was just toxic banter. I didn't realize it was a threat. I walked into First Coastal Bank. It looked like every other bank. Polished marble, cheap pens, low whispers. But to me, it felt like a crime scene. I asked for Marcus Vance. The receptionist's smile flickered, and she immediately guided me to a glass-walled office in the back. Marcus was in his late 40s, wearing a sharp navy suit. He didn't offer fake pleasantries. He just locked the door and sat down. "I did not authorize a refinance," I told him flatly. "I believe you," he nodded. He turned his monitor toward me, "and I'm going to show you why. Yesterday afternoon, a refinance application on your lake property moved from pending to funded. That is highly abnormal without the primary borrower present." He pulled up a digital file. It was a massive scanned packet, forms stacked up like a neat little corporate crime. He zoomed in on the signature page. "Is this your signature?" I leaned in. It had my name, my address. The handwriting was incredibly close, but it wasn't mine. "That's forged," I said. "It's close, but it's forged." "I know," Marcus said quietly. "I compared it to your signature card on file. The pressure pattern is completely wrong. But what triggered our internal alert wasn't just the signature. It was the notary." He clicked to the next page. A notarized power of attorney document. It claimed my parents had full authority to make financial decisions on my behalf. I looked at the notary stamp at the bottom. The name was Brenda Keats. My blood ran cold. Brenda was an old friend of my mother's, a woman who always showed up to family parties with a leather tote bag, bragging about her side hustle in real estate paperwork. My mother used to boast that Brenda could get signatures handled without all the red tape. "There's more," Marcus said, clearing his throat. This wasn't just a standard refinance to lower your interest rate. It pulled $315,000 in cash equity out of your home. It was structured as cash out proceeds, scheduled to be dispersed by wire transfer. "Where's the wire going?" I asked, gripping the arms of my chair. Marcus hesitated. He clicked into the funding details. It was scheduled to route to a business account at a different institution, an LLC named Hale Legacy Consulting. The primary beneficiary on that account is your father. $315,000 stolen from my sanctuary, routed directly into my dad's pocket. "Did the wire go through?" I asked, my voice barely a whisper. "No," Marcus said, and I finally took a breath. Because this file triggered a severe compliance alert, we placed an immediate rescission hold on it. He stood up, opened his door, and flagged someone down. A moment later, a woman in a sharp blazer walked in. Her badge read Compliance. Her name was Elena. "Miss Hale, I'm Elena, all business. We are placing a full fraud freeze on this transaction, but I need you to understand something. Your parents didn't just walk in here with fake papers and get lucky. They used a professional." She pointed to the screen. Brenda Keats wasn't just the notary. She was listed as the third-party closing facilitator. She's an independent contractor who brings documents, coordinates signatures, and pushes files through the system. We've flagged her before for irregular closings. That's what stopped the wire. I stared at the screen. My parents hadn't just made a mistake, they had orchestrated a felony. If the mortgage and deed of trust were already submitted to your county for recording, we need to intercept them immediately. You need to go to the county recorder's office right now and file a fraud affidavit. If those documents get officially recorded, untangling this will take years of litigation. I didn't waste a second. I took the paperwork Elena printed for me and drove straight to the county recorder's office. Inside, it smelled like old paper and bureaucracy. I stepped up to the counter and asked for the recording supervisor. A woman named Sarah came to the window. I handed her my ID and Elena's paperwork. "I need to place a fraud hold on my property parcel. Fraudulent documents were submitted yesterday." Sarah typed on her keyboard. Her eyes narrowed. "I see it. An e-recording submission came through this morning, a new deed of trust and a limited power of attorney, submitted by a company called Coastal Signings, LLC. The contact name is Brenda Keats." "Stop it. Freeze the parcel. I did not sign those." Sarah nodded, sliding a thick form toward me. "Fill out this fraud affidavit. I'm stopping the recording process right now." As I was filling out the form, my phone buzzed. It was a text from my mother. "Tessa, we only did what you would have wanted. It's for the family's future. Call me before you make this a big deal." Gaslighting at its finest. They were literally trying to rob me blind and telling me it was for my own good. I took a screenshot of the text, put my phone away, and finished the affidavit. I handed it back to Sarah. She stamped it. "The hold is active. Nothing moves on this property without your physical presence and a court order." I felt a massive wave of relief, but it was instantly shattered when my phone buzzed again. This time, it was Marcus from the bank. "Tessa," he said, his voice tight and urgent, "you need to come back to the bank right now. Use the secure side entrance." "Why?" I asked. "Because your parents are here in the lobby, and they brought Brenda Keats with them. They're demanding we release the $315,000 wire immediately." I drove back to the bank, my heart pounding against my ribs. A security guard let me in through the side door and escorted me directly to Marcus's office. Elena was already there. Through the glass walls and the blinds, I could see them in the main lobby. My mother, looking perfectly put together, acting like an offended VIP customer. My father, standing tall, trying to intimidate the tellers. And Brenda, leaning over the counter, aggressively pointing at a clipboard. "They're escalating," Elena said quietly. "Brenda is claiming you authorized this verbally and that you're just confused due to stress. Your father is threatening to sue us for holding up his business funds." "Have you called the police?" I asked. "Financial crimes detectives are pulling up right now," Elena said, pointing to the security cameras on Marcus's monitor. Sure enough, 2 plainclothes detectives walked into the bank. They didn't make a scene. They approached the counter calmly. I watched on the camera feed as the lead detective, a guy named Detective Vance, spoke to my parents. I couldn't hear everything, but I heard enough. "This is ridiculous," my father's voice boomed through the lobby. "We have legal authorization. We are handling a family estate matter." Detective Vance didn't flinch. "Sir, step back. Who is the account holder?" "She is," my mother said, pointing vaguely toward the back offices. "But my daughter is unstable. She doesn't understand high finance. We are protecting her assets." Detective Vance looked at Brenda. "And you are?" "I'm the closing facilitator," Brenda said smoothly. "I process the paperwork. Everything is legally binding." That was the moment Marcus opened his office door, and I walked out into the lobby. My parents' heads snapped toward me. The fake concern on my mother's face vanished, replaced by pure panic. "Tessa, tell them we were just managing the trust." I looked at the detective. "My name is Tessa Hale. I am the sole owner of the property in question. I did not authorize a refinance, I did not sign a power of attorney, and I certainly did not authorize a $315,000 wire to my father's LLC. My signature was forged." My father's face turned purple. "You ungrateful little—" "Sir," Detective Vance interrupted, his voice dropping an octave. "You are currently attempting to extract over $300,000 from a frozen account using documents flagged for forgery. This is no longer a customer service issue. This is a felony investigation." Brenda tried to quietly back away toward the door, but the second detective blocked her path. "Brenda Keats?" the detective asked. "We've been looking into Coastal Signings, LLC for a while now. We have you on bank security cameras logging into an employee workstation this morning to try and force an internal override on this wire transfer." Brenda's confident smile completely collapsed. "I was just checking the file status," she stammered. "You're being detained pending a full investigation into mortgage fraud," Detective Vance said, pulling out handcuffs. The sound of the metal clicking around Brenda's wrists echoed through the quiet bank. My mother started crying, real tears this time. My father stood completely frozen, his arrogance entirely stripped away. They realized in real time that their main character syndrome had just crashed into the reality of the penal code. They weren't arrested right that second, but the detectives took them into separate interrogation rooms. The Financial Crimes Unit executed search warrants on Brenda's home office and found a massive trail of fraudulent notary stamps and illegal property transfers. She was facing years in federal prison. Because my parents had used the U.S. banking system and wire transfers to attempt their theft, they were charged with conspiracy to commit wire fraud and mortgage fraud. They spent thousands on defense attorneys just to avoid jail time, ending up with years of probation, massive fines, and a permanent felony record that destroyed my father's consulting business. As for me, I went back to my lake house. I sat on the porch, looked out at the water, and realized something profound. Listen to me carefully, because this is the core of revenge theory. Society tells us that if family hurts us, we have to forgive and forget. We're conditioned to accept abuse if it comes from blood. But blood doesn't give anyone a free pass to destroy your life. True revenge isn't about sinking to their level. It's not about screaming matches or plotting their downfall. True revenge is setting an iron-clad boundary, protecting your peace, and letting the systems of the real world handle their toxicity. I didn't have to ruin my parents. I just had to step out of the way and let the consequences of their own actions hit them at full speed. I protected my assets, I documented everything, and I let the law do the heavy lifting. If someone is trying to manipulate you, steal from you, or gaslight you, document it. Stay calm and let them dig their own grave while you stand safely on the outside. Because the ultimate revenge is simply this: living a highly successful, unbothered life, while the people who tried to break you have to live with the mess they made. Stay smart, protect your peace, and I'll see you in the next video.